So our purpose here at these hearings is to focus on Jackson-Vanik as perhaps the sole immediate concession that we are willing to offer the Russian side. If we do so, we, as others have noted, it can be said that Moscow is in compliance with the purpose of Jackson-Vanik, which was to allow chiefly Soviet Jews to emigrate. But while the Jews of the Soviet Union are no longer being held hostage, their sacred papers are. And this is clearly something that needs to be dealt with before we change Jackson-Vanik. I refer to the Schneerson Collection of books and archives which are sacred chiefly to those Jews in the Chabad or Lubavitcher movement. I, without objection, will put into the record the many letters that I have sent to such Russian leaders as Vladimir Putin, which I have hand-delivered at the Russian embassy to the ambassador, which I have handed to virtually every Russian dignitary who has come to the United States and visited Capitol Hill since 2004. And when I didn't personally hand these letters to them, my good friend Dana Rohrabacher did. I want to note also for the record that I've never received a response. I did hear third-hand a rumor that the Russian response would, after 6 years, be that they seem to have some procedural defenses usable in both Russian and perhaps even American courts, but not a single word has been uttered as to why, as a matter of justice, the Russian state should retain these documents sacred to the Chabad movement. In particular, the Schneerson collection of papers can be divided between the Schneerson archives and the Schneerson library. Let me focus chiefly for today on the archives. These were legally removed from the Soviet Union in the 1920s by Rabbi Schneerson. They were seized by the Nazis and then fell into the hands of the Red Army. It is well established that assets seized by the Nazis should be returned to their rightful owners. And yet the Red Army and the Soviet state continues to hold these archives. Contrast that to the fact that certain Russian archives, chiefly the Smolensk archive, fell into American hands, I believe after being captured by the Nazis. It took us a while, but in 2002, we returned these documents to the Russian state. It is disappointing that this unilateral concession, this return of important papers, was not matched by the return of the Schneerson documents to the Chabad movement. Now, it is said that Jackson-Vanik has achieved its purpose. Jews are no longer being held hostage, but the sacred papers of the Chabad community are still held hostage. Tom Lantos, in April of 2007, declared that while he was chairman, Jackson-Vanik would not be lifted unless the Schneerson Collection was returned to the Chabad movement. I cannot make that pledge quite as strong because I'm not chairman of the full committee. But I will pledge to work hard to make sure that Tom Lantos's pledge remains viable, and that having returned the Smolensk archives, we should not be asked to sweep away Jackson-Vanik until not only the people but the sacred documents are also released. I yield back.
I thank my friend. I now go to the gentleman from California, the ranking member on the Committee on Oversight, Mr. Rohrabacher.